News as we break this down. New guy in town, Pete Alonso moving upside down to the little DFW area. No hysteria. Ooh, no scarier. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy, the real Biz Taylor, reporting live from the winter meetings. You already know what it is. And yes, I'm reporting in real life. I got them. They shooting a TV show behind me and everything weird. And I have just been informed that the Pete Alonso whole shenanigans is officially over, as he has now decided to take his talents to none other than the one and only Orioles down in Baltimore, which is frankly hella surprising. Out of all of the teams that were being pitched, out of all of the different places he could have gone, this is literally one of the few places that I'd never even considered. So let's go ahead and talk about it now. Is Pete necessarily doing this because he wants to, or is he doing this because he feels like he might have to? I'm going to keep it real, because I honestly feel like this is a very good opportunity for him to get that same deal in New York. But there have been some very strange things happening with the boy Pete Alonso over the last few years. This guy has basically been giving them 30-plus home runs for like the last few years. He's been you don't want to say above average, but at least an average first baseman. And so it's just fascinating that they have decided to forego his talents because of whatever it may be. Now, I have a theory, and we'll talk about my theory in a second. Before we talk about my theory, let's talk about what else is going on here in the world of baseball at the winter meetings as we go ahead and get started with none other than On the Black, where you can get your baseball covered with flavor, just like chocolate Lego. Storm. Alrighty, as I said before, all right, let me go ahead and just keep it 100 with y'all. That's one thing that I plan on doing as long as I have this platform. So I was literally sitting here at the winter meetings, right here at this very bar, which I'm sitting at this bar, and a dude next to me was like, Pete Alonso to the Orioles, and I was like, what? Because I guess it just happened. I go to scoot to my phone, and I'm like, oh, there is a deal that happened. So now we officially have three big, major deals that have happened since the winter meetings that started. The first one was the Schwarber ordeal. Schwarber, of course, we know 56 home runs last year, saved the NL in the All-Star game with hitting three home runs at the very end, had a 4 home run game. This is a big deal. This dude is returning to the Philadelphia Phillies. The only thing I have a question about is whether or not I really think that Cal is going to be enough, because frankly, the Phillies have had Cal, Bryce. They've had a whole lot of tools, but they still have always they've been, over the last few years, been getting to the playoffs, but that's basically it. There is not like a playoff. It seems like the playoffs have been where they landed, as opposed to them actually getting to the World Series and winning that. So the Kyle Schwarber deal is a big deal. I think that it definitely gives them the hope that they want, but does it give them the tools that they want? I'm doubting that. I frankly think they still have to solve the Jose Alvarado issue, which I know he's not necessarily, in deep trouble. I know he had his PED thing, but will he be able to be as well of a pitcher this year as he was in years prior when he was doing this thing? Also, what's going to happen when the ball oh my goodness, Ranger Suarez is still not necessarily going to be signed for sure. We don't know that for a fact, and we also don't know whether or not their rotation, Sanchi, all of them are going to come back and do what it is that they have to do. So we're just going to see what happens with Kyle Schwarber. I'm happy that they got somebody, but I frankly was a little bit excited about the potential for him to go somewhere else. Another occurrence that happened before the winter meetings was Devin Williams was signed to the Mets as well. Now, this is interesting because he is a part of this tide that seems to be changing with the Mets, as they are trying to completely revamp their roster. I have a theory about this, frankly, and it involves Pete Alonso as well. So go ahead and just give me a moment. Just let me mess with your mind, please. Let me mess with your mind, please. So as far as Pete Alonso goes, I happen to believe this is just a theory. Nope, I have nothing to back this at all. But I believe that the Juan Soto deal has basically obliterated the New York Mets that we knew in 2024. You remember the New York Mets of OMG with Jose Iglesias? Remember the New York Mets that used to be just so giddy and so happy with Grimace in the stands and just doing concerts after the shows and just having so much fun to the point where they actually even got into the playoffs, even though they lost pretty soon. That whole vibe, ever since Jose Iglesias went over to the Padres, has just been completely different. And if I'm being honest, I think that it jived well in 2024 because everybody knew their positions. Lindo was supposed to be the captain. You had Marte, who was like out there just kind of for more support that year. You had your boy Pete Alonso, obviously is Mr. Met. I mean, yeah, even with Vientos, who came through in the playoffs, like they had a decent squad. This year, Brett Beatty, a lot of those cats. Um, Even Cedric Mullins, the addition, they just did not have that magic that I feel like the 24 Mets had. Now, when they brought in Juan Soto, it was supposed to bolster their potential. But what I feel like it did was it messed up the aura in the clubhouse. This is something that you cannot count statistically. There is no stat for clubhouse, right? And I ain't gonna lie to you. It feels to me like there may have been a power struggle. Now, this is obviously just looking from afar. I haven't spoken with Frankie Lindor. I haven't spoken with Juan Soto. But if I had to guess, if you are considered the leader of the team, if you're Francisco Lindor, you've been through it. You started off the year in 2024 getting booed, and you end the year getting the dope, having some of the best plays, especially that home run he hit in the playoffs, where he basically looked like he did nothing to get into the playoffs. Excuse me, looked like it was no big deal. Now you've struggled so hard after coming over from the Indians before they were the Guardians to the Mets to build the team that they are. And here comes this dude strutting in with a $15 million, 15-year, $765 million deal. And he's kind of strutting around the clubhouse. He's got his own suite. He's got all these extra privileges. And you're looking at Steve Cohen, you're like, why didn't get all this? I was the leader for all these years. And so it's kind of hard to not have any kind of feelings about that. And I don't know if they hold if Francisco Lindor holds Juan Soto accountable for that. I don't know if Juan Soto is a clubhouse guy. He doesn't strike me as like hey, everybody come over to the crib, let's play karaoke type guy. He strikes me as I'm gonna do my job, you do your job, leave me alone. I don't know. But that just lets me believe that possibly the whole aura was off in the locker room. So when you have the potential for one of the best players who frankly protected Juan Soto in that deal to say, you know what, maybe I'll consider going elsewhere. It's hard for me to think that perhaps none of that was factored in. Doesn't mean that they weren't cool. Doesn't mean that they weren't friends. Doesn't mean that they weren't able to work together. But it also does mean, hey, I may have had better times in this clubhouse in other years. And those years that I had better times may be gone now and may not be coming back. So perhaps it's time for me to shop myself elsewhere. The trip to the Orioles is interesting to me because it frankly says that maybe he doesn't want to win. He's changed leagues. He's now an American League guy instead of a National League guy. And he's going to be up against folks that aren't accustomed to seeing his swing as often in the American League. I don't know. They need more tools. Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, that's not enough. That's not enough. But Pete is a big bat, and hopefully he hits the ground running in the Baltimore area. I'm happy that they got Pete and Ryan Helsley. This just basically means they're going to be a contender now. But now the Yankees are going to be seeing a lot more Pete Alonso because this dude is going to be in their league in the AL East. This is a big deal. And I think that if I'm a Met fan today, I am crying. I am crying. I'm like, oh my God, how many of my favorite players do I have to lose in this winter meetings debacle? They literally already lost Edwin Diaz because he now is a Dodger, which is another thing that they have to look forward to. They just gained a closer that I was just talking to one of the guys from John Boy Media, and he was basically like, yeah, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep for the next few days. I was like, what y'all got, Devin? He was like, really, Devin Williams? So I don't know. Most of the folks around here, I don't know. I gotta get a feel as to what the Orioles deal means because it for me it's a big deal for the Orioles. It's a big deal for the city of Baltimore. It's going to be weird seeing Pete in a different shade of orange. But hey, it ain't like he played for the Cardinals. I can really care less. But wow, Pete Alonso to the Orioles. That is something else. Now, let's move on to another thing. Now, you know what's funny about this? I was speaking to somebody who actually predicted this very thing was going to happen. Now, I will give you a heads up. I do have some audio for something that I clipped here, but I ain't gonna lie, it's not the best. It's not. We tried to use the mic the right way, but it didn't necessarily pan out the way I wanted it to. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this ride a little bit, but try to bear with me as you hear some of the background noise. See if you can hear at least what the first answer is. This is Steve Phillips of the fame. I believe he was a manager of the Mets at one point in time, general manager that is, and also was the host of a show called The Leadoff on MLB Network. Let's get an idea of what he says and try to pay attention, even though it's hard to hear.
Schwarber 5 years, 4 DH, Edwin Diaz to LA. Does LA now no longer have any issues in their bullpen? Because last year they thought they fixed it and still had issues.
Yeah, so Diaz is going to answer a lot of that. You know, what happens is, I always look at the bullpen as kind of a living, breathing organism, and the head's the closer. When the closer's right, the rest of the bullpen is right. And so they never were really right in the closer's role, so everybody got out of sorts. So I think Diaz will stabilize that. I think Tanner Scott's better than when he pitched last year. They have a lot of weapons there. But this will get them to the playoffs, and then they'll always have that ability to use a starter in the bullpen like they did this past year. And so they're loaded. There's a lot of speculation. They're going to be hot to trot, potentially get Tarek Schwarber from the Detroit Tigers as well. But the Dodgers are sitting pretty right now.
I'm very curious about
all right, so you probably noticed that that's not actually the question that I said he was going to answer. So whoops, my bad about that. This next question, I believe, is when he answered. I asked him specifically, now that we have the Cal Schwarber deal out there, now that we got the Diaz deal out there, I say, what's the next white whale to be killed? Which Moby Dick is still out there roaming? And listen to what his answer was.
Hierarchy in Philly. Now that they've got 5 more years of Cal Schwarber, and we just heard Dumbledore, as I call him, say a lot about Bryce Harper. Does Bryce Harper take a step back in leadership now?
Well, I think that I've always thought that Schwarber was the primary leader in Philadelphia. Harper is one as well, but I think that Schwarber is more vocal than Bryce. Bryce plays hard, he's gritty, but he's not the guy who speaks up all the time. Schwarber is affable. He can get on somebody, he can pat him on the back, he can kick him in the seat of the pants. He's that guy that everybody respects and that you need on a team. And so this is a major addition, getting him back there. And I don't mind the 5 years at all.
Do it real quick. So Cincinnati allegedly proposed a deal to Kyle Schwarber. Didn't work out. What do they do now? They're out on Front Street. Their fans know that they have capital to spend. If they don't, they could get some backlash. What do you think happens next?
Yeah, so they need offense. And, I think that they need to focus on the outfield. I don't know that they're in a Bellinger. They're not in a Tucker. I think those price points are too high for them. But like a Marcelo Zuna, who has put up really good numbers the last couple, last year not as good, but still a 14% over average. A guy like that as a DH, they need some veteran hitters to go with the younger hitters there to try to build them along. That's why Schwarber would have been a great fit. Plus, he's from Middletown, Ohio, would have been a good fit. But they need to focus on bringing some offense. They've got the pitching they need.
Last question. We now have the white whale out of the way.
Yes.
What do you think is the next big?
Oh, watch out now. This is finally it. So all of them questions I asked was not one of them was what I actually wanted to show. So this is the actual question that I've been talking about the whole time. So watch what he says. This is prophetic, my friend. Watch what Steve Phillips says right here.
Announcement, the next big thing that we're waiting for in terms of free agency.
Yeah, I think it'll be Pete Alonso.
Yes.
I think that for Alonso, it's either the Mets or the Red Sox right now. The Phillies aren't going to be in. Yes, the Orioles have dabbled, but I don't know they're going to meet the price point. There will always be one more Steve Cohen dollar. And we just spoke with Alex Cora. He did praise Tristan Cassis, the youngster at first base in Boston, where he still believes in him. And so maybe they focus on third base and second base and leave first base to Cassis. So I think Alonso probably ends up back with the Mets.
Okay, well, thanks. Don't let Xavier pick on you too much.
Thank you.
Yo, so did you hear that? Did you hear that? He predicted that Pete Alonso was going to be the next up on the folks that are chosen in regard to this free agency. And he was right. He was right. Pete Alonso bowed out. He did the Juan Soto thing where as soon as the playoffs was over, which they didn't make, as soon as their season was over, he was like, I'm ready. Anybody interested in me? I'm ready. Now, here's the funny part. He did say that Baltimore may not be willing to cough up that money. Well, clearly, Baltimore is doing something different now. Baltimore's tired. The 2025 season was nowhere near what they should have had, especially given what was happening in the 2024 season, where they were basically contenders and were almost going to push the Yankees out of their contention. Well, that's a bit of an overstatement, but they were basically a better team. Let's put it like that. And they did have Corbin Burns then as a pitcher, so I can understand when they don't have as much pitching, even after losing my man Cal Gibson, who I know had a terrible outing or a terrible couple of weeks. They still got a basically good young team, and now they have a real official, bona fide vet who's coming in, probably going to bomb about 30-something homers and is going to kill it. So shout out to him, man. Good job, man. Congrats on you and your deal, and good for the Baltimore Orioles for finally throwing some money out there and getting back into contention in the AL East. Now, there's a couple other things that I was able to do. Now, I will go ahead and keep this short because I don't have all day. But as we were talking, another one of the members of the somebody that was actually interested in courting Cal Schwarber, who didn't end up having Cal Schwarber go to their team, is the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds were trying to get him. It didn't work out the way they wanted it to, but evidently there was some pretty decent attempts, and that would have been such a big deal if the Cincinnati Reds was able to were able to stumble upon the polar bear himself, which I'm wondering if they still go Pete Alonso in Baltimore. But I was able to talk to somebody that I looked up to, who I still use in the show when I play the video game. This is a young man by the name of Eric Davis, who played for Cincinnati for quite some time. Extremely popular guy back in this day. This is a dude who played with King Griffey and a couple of guys. He talked to me about the Cincinnati Reds making their pitch for Cal Schwarber. Let's listen into what it is that he said to me when we had our interview.
Well, we weren't really leaning on the money. We were more leaning on him being from Ohio and come back home. But it would have been tremendous had we been able to get him, but I'm happy for him.
Well, now that you don't have him, you've already put up the 100. So now your fans are like, okay, what are we going to do with that 100? Is it any idea of what the second or the B plan is? Pachi?
Pause. All right, this is when I get to talk to you about some things that should not have happened. Okay, so check it out. So in that moment, I actually asked him, I actually asked him about the $100 million that they offered him for 5 years, Cal Schwarber. Well, I was completely wrong. It was actually the Pirates. It was actually the Pirates that offered him the 100. And here I am asking an ambassador for the Reds what it is that he thought about the 100 that they proposed. And he was like, somewhere in the interview, he was like, I don't think we put anything out there about the money. And I remember being like, no, yes, you did. But then I had to check. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, my bad. It was actually the Pirates. But he had a lot of insight. I'm not going to show the whole thing today because I don't want to do it right here while I'm in the lobby. I want to break this down a little bit more. But let me at least replay what it is that he said about the Cal Schwarber attempt to actually acquire him. Lego.
Let me know when we good. Hey, we back with MLB Bros, and I got the one and only Eric Davis here. What's going on?
Hey, man, what's happening, man? This is pretty cool. I ain't never talked to one of these. So this is making me seem like I'm in the space age.
Well,
Wow.
welcome to 2025. Well, listen, man, it's been a cool winter meetings thus far. What are you looking to get out of this year's winter meeting?
Well, actually, I've actually been in the front office of Cincinnati for 18 years. It was kind of in the Schwarber sweepstakes. And it was kind of like they bust our bubble when we went back to
What happened? I mean, did you really think? I mean, I know you can't give all the details, but did we think the 100 was going to be enough? Was that just kind of a breaking point, an entry?
Well, we weren't really leaning on the money. We were more leaning on him being from Ohio and come back home. But it would have been tremendous had we been able to get it. But I'm happy for him.
Well, now that you don't have him, you've already put up the 100. So now your fans are like, okay, what are we going to do with that 100? Is there any idea of what the second or the B plan is, Pachi?
Well, I don't think we ever mentioned money. So
Right.
we didn't mention money. Somebody else might have speculated for money.
Okay, I thought I heard reported.
Our fans like that, y'all didn't hear us put up no money. We didn't mention no money. But our fans know what we're trying to do. We still got a relatively young team. And Terry Francona done a phenomenal job when he came in last year. We got some super young talent. Between now and when training camp starts, we still have an opportunity to improve our club. So that's what I'm looking to do.
Absolutely, and you need to look no further than Ellie De La Cruz and how good he's been. And in addition to that, Hunter Green. Now, last playoff run.
All right, and this is when I started asking a little bit about Hunter Green and some of the other things that are going on in that whole Cincinnati organization. But the big news that came out of this particular conversation is that the Cincinnati Reds were very interested in pursuing Kyle Schwarber, but not necessarily willing to put up a lot of money for it because evidently they were hoping that he would just be like, oh, yeah, I'm from Ohio. I'd love to be at home. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, nah, man, I'm cool on that. I think I'd rather be somewhere that's going to pay me the most and where the people love me already. So that happened. All right. Well, listen, I don't necessarily stay on these too long, so I'm not going to sit here today. This is the last day of the winter meetings. We're about to close out. I think the very last event is scheduled for 2:00, which is in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and check this out. But before that, I did want to share one interview that was honestly, frankly, just special to me because of the fact that this is one of the folks that was on my list. When I first started making up the plans for coming here, I was a little nervous. I'm gonna keep it real. Like I didn't really know what I was gonna be doing out here, but I knew if I was gonna be out here and be out here confidently, I would have to have a plan. So I wrote down some names of some people that I would like to interview. Some of those names include Ali Marmol, Cliff Floyd, Harold Reynolds, Xavier Scruggs. Now I didn't get to chat with Ali, which is so crazy because I was like this close, and I'll tell you that story tomorrow. But I did get to talk to some of those other names on that list. And so if it's okay with you, I would like to share with you my first encounter with Mr. Xavier Scruggs, who showed me hella love. And I just want to big him up real quick because he definitely didn't have to. So let me go ahead and show y'all this real quick. And y'all, we'll talk about it on the other side. Direct at the winter meetings that we ran into the one and only Xavier Scruggs. What's going on, man?
What's going on? Good to see you.
Now, you were local, basically, right?
Yeah,
so this is a trip down I-4. How long did it take you to get here?
It took about an hour 20. So I'm thankful I got here and plenty of good time, efficient.
What's your thoughts about the Kyle Schwarber? He's now 5 years, man. 150, big deal. Not a big deal. Should Bryce be a little nervous that leadership is now coming into the clubhouse?
No, I think it was important. Obviously, the Phillies are in a stage where they can win, right? They can win a World Series, and you need the most productive pieces in the middle of that order. I expected him to kind of go back to where he's had a lot of success. Seems like a good fit for him. But yeah, like you said, Bryce Harper, they took a little bit of a step back last year, so they need to make sure that production's still there.
Okay. What about Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers? Yeah. I don't know. Last year they re-upped pretty hard, but the bullpen didn't really pull up like it was supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like, is this going to actually make the Dodgers a little bit more confident in their bullpen this year?
I would think so. You go out and give one of the best bullpen pieces available. That's about as good as you can do, right? And he was the best one available on the market. It seems like they're always re-upping, like you mentioned. That's the one thing about the Dodgers. The money never goes away.
That's true. Now, from a personal standpoint, I'm a huge baseball fan. Right now, football's got 70+% black. NBA 70+%.
Yeah.
We've shrunk down to 6%.
Yeah.
Is this the new normal? Do we just accept it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's tough because I grew up like playing multiple sports, and I feel like now you're getting kids so specialized early on, and especially the black community when it's easy to tailor towards football and basketball. Baseball takes a little bit more of that development at times. Not all of a sudden the athleticism isn't necessarily there right at the beginning.
True.
So going through those development stages, we got to find ways to continue to have kids understand your athleticism is going to develop into a great player no matter what with baseball. So I think it's about educating them, teaching them what's fun about the sport too. I think that's what I kind of grew up on, is learning, okay, it's fun to face guys throwing hard. They're trying to get me out, mano y mano. So just continuing to stress those things and bring out that athleticism as the game is getting back to that athleticism too in the major leagues.
I agree. Last question, I'll get up out of your way. One of the things that I'm really excited about is the fact that we've had Shohei, we've got Imai, we've got this international appeal now.
Yeah.
It's even reached the continent of Africa with Joseph Ding in Sudan.
Yeah.
Do you think that the WBC and other teams are going to be more willing to search outside of just Japan and maybe look at the rich continent of Africa for all of the talent that exists there that hasn't been tapped?
I think you have to. That's the one thing that separates our sport, is it comes from all different areas. And if you're not able to go and reach some of those areas that are untapped, as you mentioned, then you find yourself behind. So I think that's one of the things that you'll continue to see moving forward, is finding different places like Africa all over. And we know a lot of athletes come from there from seeing the other sports too.
Exactly.
So it's a no-brainer to me.
My man. Hey, listen, thanks so much for your time here, man. I just want to tell you from a personal standpoint, every time I see you on the lead up, I'll be like, thank you, somebody representing with the swag. You know what I'm saying? Because my man is on there looking like a Q-tip.
No, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks again, fam, bam. I'll get up out of your way. Yo, are you? My bad. Here I am again. Yes, I'm not used to using the mic, but yeah, you see me outside. I'm doing my little thizzle out here. You know what I'm saying? And talking to a couple cats. I don't have time to show everything because I do have to get to the Rule 5 draft. So we're gonna go ahead and check that out. But yeah, man, just want to shout out the folks that showed me some love. And I do have a lot more to content to show you guys in the days to come. I also was able to interview the guys from Foul Territory, Scott and AJ. Also was able to talk to my man Russell, whose last name I forgot before we started the interview. I had to look at his name tag, and I think that might have annoyed him a little bit. I got a chance to talk with Cliff Floyd. I also spoke with Dusty Baker, and that was a crazy conversation. So I cannot wait to tell y'all all about that. So I will go ahead and stop this one for today. I wanted to do this one live, so it'll be available as we speak. I still have more winter meetings to get to. As you see, they back there taping MLB Network shows as we speak. But I sincerely appreciate you, and I'm going to keep on this trek. I want to once again shout out my homeboy, J.R. Gamble and Rob Parker, for sending me here with MLB Bros. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Here's the tag and whatnot. So this was definitely the highlight of my birthday week. I hope to do a lot more of this, but for now, let's at least stay intact with the latest news. We've got Devin. We've got Schwarbs. And we've got Pete, who is now officially a Baltimore Oriole. So let's wait and see what else happens with regard to the development here in the offseason. I will make sure I report everything I learn as soon as I do, and I hope you all will continue to stay in tune to right here on the Black, where you will get your baseball covered with flavor just like chocolate, baby. Hallelujah. Let go. Storm.